Joining me now by phone from Capitol Hill is CBS News chief congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, what led to this delaying the recess, pushing it into the third week of August?
Well, there are a few different factors, Tony. Is that there were more and more Republican senators who had been pushing for this change. In fact, a group of about 10 of them held a press conference just today urging McConnell to delay the start of August recess, arguing that they just simply need more time to keep their promises to their constituents. They had vowed to repeal Obamacare. They're nowhere near doing that. They had promised to tackle tax reform. And if they can't achieve either of those two things, then they want to be able to work on other things that they can point to as tangible accomplishments now that Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. So he was facing pressure from his members, but also, he has this once-in-a-lifetime, potentially, opportunity to push a Republican agenda because the party does control the House and the Senate and the White House. So they'd rather work, Republicans at least would rather work more, not less. And then finally, you've got the prospect of Republicans not being able to pass a bill repealing Obamacare. And so if that's the case, they're going to need some time to work on other issues so that when they do go home in August, they can make the case to their Republican constituents that they've got something to show for all the time that they have spent basically in the first half of this year having the majority in Congress and the White House.
And is the expectation that the third week of August is going to be enough of an extension to give them the space they need to get something done?
Not necessarily, because at this point, it's not clear that Senate Republicans could find consensus on a repeal bill for Obamacare, whether they had 2 weeks or 2 months or even 2 years. You simply have opinions that vary too widely on how much of Obamacare to keep in place and what to do about Medicaid, what to do about tax credits for low-income Americans who are on the individual exchanges. And so, the hope is that if they take more time, that they will be able to hit on a solution, but at the very least, they'll be able to argue to their constituents, well, we tried as hard as we could. We even stayed on Capitol Hill 2 weeks longer to try to find that elusive compromise.
How rare is a delay like this?
It's very rare. I haven't experienced it in the time covering Capitol Hill. Certainly I've seen Congress come back early, especially over winter when there have been deadlines looming on December 31st, January 1st. They've had to come back, and there's been some consternation because they have missed the holiday. But not only that, it's not just missing vacations that is a challenge for these lawmakers, but they set up lots of meetings in their home districts in August. They set up town halls. They make plans to do elaborate tours of their states and their districts. And so all of that, at least for senators, is now going to have to be pushed back. And it does kind of raise the stakes for Republican senators. Typically, it's the threat of that deadline of going home the first week in August that forces them to find some kind of consensus. Now that deadline has been moved back 2 weeks. So the question is, does this just prolong the process of Republicans failing to come together on a health care bill?
And it's not just legislation. Nominations are also on the docket. McConnell is blaming Democrats for accusing Democrats of obstructing the process of getting people into jobs in this administration. Is obstruction a charge that holds up?
Not necessarily, because we've also seen a very slow pace of appointments by the Trump administration, and we've seen a number of high-profile appointees drop out of the process as well. So Democrats certainly have been using every procedural move at their disposal, but they also argue that the process is not slow because of them. It's slow because the Trump administration has dragged its feet on appointing people to key positions. But this, shows that the prerogative of the majority party.
All right, Nancy.
We're already seeing.
I was going to say, I hope that this extension does not affect any vacation plans of yours in August. And I was going to thank you, let you get on with your day. Nancy Cordes, Chief Congressional Correspondent for CBS News. Nancy, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Tony.